Welcome back to another Express. Well, I guess this is a Canadian Immigration live Q&A. I'm Mark Holthe, Canadian Immigration lawyer, and it is great to have everyone back. It's interesting. I have to pull this comment up right off the bat. I have to pull this one up. Oh, I got to shrink this down now. Apparently, it's a little bit large here. Let's shrink this down so everybody can see this. I love this. This is awesome. It says, "Hey, Mark, why you had that many dislikes to this live session even before you started it? Anything I missed?" I love this. So one of the things that a lot of people, when I'm doing these lives, I am not going to please everybody, and I'm not going to make everybody happy with the things that I say or the information that I'm trying to share out there with the world. And I think everybody knows that that happens. And so why there are that many dislikes to my live sessions where I'm giving away information to help people, I don't know, Akram. I'm not sure, but everybody's entitled to their opinion. And the best part of all is that if people went to the site and saw that everybody was happy with Mark, then there is something seriously wrong. In other words, the posts are fake or the comments are fake or whatever, because I know there are a ton of people that are happy with what I'm doing, but if there are dislikes, well, who knows? I don't speak sometimes nice of consultants. So maybe it's consultants. Maybe it's people who feel like what I'm offering is not of any worth and everything's free on the internet anyways. Maybe that's the case. But ultimately, I love the fact that people can express their honest opinions and their honest comments. And I'm not here to exclude or remove anyone. So maybe they can post some comments and we'll pull them up and we'll figure out how to make this even better if people are unsatisfied with it. But I am super, super grateful to be here as always. And there's lots of information to share. I know that there's a lot of people that are just frustrated generally with the processing of applications, what's happening overseas. And so my heart goes out to all of you people who really have been left in the dark by immigration, have not had a clear understanding of where your applications are at. So all of those things are things that we're going to be talking about today, including some special guests that are going to join me in just a second. All right, so I am here with Ali and Nilu. Welcome, you guys. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having us
much.
here. We are so excited to be here.
Awesome. So we have had quite a stretch of discussions about the problems with immigration. We have spent a lot of time talking about the delays in processing, the programs that have just popped up with no advance notice and people have missed out on them that maybe they could have applied. We've talked about big draws, draw 176 back on February the 13th that scooped everybody out of the pool. And some people didn't even know that they should have had their profile in. And so we've talked a lot about all of these things, but today, you guys, I've invited them on, listeners, to share a positive experience and a positive story. So it is great to have you guys here. So tell us a little bit about yourselves. Tell us a little bit about your background.
I came to actually Canada as a chemical engineer. I came here to pursue my studies to study my master's here in Canada in January 2012. And since that time, I have been all the time a student to maintain my status in Canada, and also.
And I want to interject just a little bit, Ali, just so that the listeners can hear very carefully and clearly that you came to Canada in 2012, right?
That's right.
2012. I just want to emphasize that for everyone. For those of you who've come in, maybe 2017, 2018, came to study, got your postgrads, wondering what's taken so long with your TR to PR pathway. Okay, listen to Ali and Nilu here. Okay, continue, Ali. So you came in initially to study.
Yes, I came to Canada for a better education, for a better life, and also my wife came after around 1 year to Canada to join me here, and we actually looked for many different pathways, opportunities to apply for permanent residency in Canada, but unfortunately the regulations all the time changed. So since my graduation of my master's, we 1 year before every pathway for immigration. We prepared every document, we prepared everything. Then before submission, for example, provincial nominee programs for different things, everything, many different streams actually closed. So we weren't able to apply. So we weren't able to file our permanent residency application anytime. So
Okay, so a question I have, like, how did you keep up your good spirits? How did you keep your faith in the process, your hope that one day it would work out? Like, what kept you going? What kept you, continuing to persevere instead of just giving up and saying, I'm going to go back to Iran?
So we were very positive. We were positive that we shouldn't lose our hope. If we keep our persistence, and if we have good faith and try hard, it would actually end in we would actually obtain our permanent residency. So we didn't lose our hope. So all the time it was, we had many difficult times, difficult days, but finally, right now that we got our permanent residency, that's right. It's our proof that if we try hard, it will. We will get what we want, actually.
Yes. Okay. So tell us, so you had many years of frustration waiting for programs to open up. And then just when you got things ready, programs would close or new ones would open, and you were continually just missing out. But over the last little stretch here, something changed. So tell us about more recently your success. So which programs did you apply through?
Let me answer this question if it's okay. So, yeah, absolutely. After so many years of frustration, but when we say frustration, it doesn't mean we gave up. We were always patient. Like, we always learn from our parents, everyone, I should say. Be patient, and if you be patient, if you sacrifice a lot of time that you could enjoy better, one day it will answer. One day you will get what you want. And that exactly happened to our life. We had so many difficult days. We were a lot of times that almost we thought we are going back, because there is no stream, there is nothing that would be eligible. And as I always say, a lot of time we did something that we absolutely did not enjoy, we did not like to do in here, but we know we are doing that in order to get our permanent residency, in order to stay in Canada, that we knew our goal, we know why we came for, and we want to obtain that goal. So, and we knew it's gonna happen. We never say, "Oh, it's not gonna happen. This is the same. This is like we never be like that." And even though we had difficult days, we are so many days that we said we almost were going to lose our hope, but we did not. Anyway, but what we did, and what I always, as a person, we would love to be a permanent resident in Canada and live in Canada. I would always say, get all your documents, get all your stuff ready. What I say, during all these years, we keep doing our English language test.
How many have you written over the last?
I could say
9 years, almost 10 years.
Yeah, I wrote 3, and all of them, they're very good scores. The last one was the best. And I think Ali did.
I guess 2,
yeah. The reason we had to do, because they were expiring 2 years, but we want to have them just in case. And exactly that answer, because what the funny part is, the express entry scores were always too high. They were usually, I remember it was 480 and higher, like 500. Our scores, unfortunately, were not that high. And it was one day that we had our application, but we thought, oh, it's not going to happen. The scores are too high. We decided just take the application off. And the funny thing is, we took the application off, and 1 week after the big draw was
The big
happened.
draw happened. Oh,
Exactly, and we were not in there, and our scores was much. Our score was much higher than what it was picked. So what we did was, exactly in that day, we went, like, we were both almost crying, and it was like quite unfortunate.
Like,
and
after
we
all
went,
of this, our
Exactly.
opportunity finally came, and we pulled our application out of the pool.
I don't know what we did that, but I don't know. One day we thought, you know what, just leave it. After like 8-9 years, this is not gonna happen. Scores are too high. Our score was not even that low, but it was lower than like 480. And but all of the scores, like 470, 480, like it was lower than that a bit. And but I don't know what we did. And anyway, so the day it was a big draw, it was a worst day for us, and we were happy for others, but not for ourselves. And
of course,
that day we were in YouTube, and we were almost crying. And look at you had a big video, and talking about the express entry, and you were so excited about the people they got their the application approved, like not approved, like they were picked. And we got to know you. That day, I could say it was the most fortunate day for us. The reason why is because we realized you were so experienced, so knowledgeable, and you're very precise. You know what you're doing. As a lot of people know, there are a lot of consultants around. There are a lot of lawyer that they charge people a lot of money, and they gave us the applicant a very bad feeling that they're not going to really feel for people. This lawyer or these type of consultants aren't just, they're doing that just as a trade, not as a feel for the applicant, not as they really want to help applicants. But that day I felt I have never ever talked to the consultant, because I had a feeling that these consultants are not giving a good review, not going to give us, they're not going to really help. And as also some of our friends also did help, they got help from other consultant and lawyer, but unfortunately they did not get what they want to do, and they charge them a lot of money, and they make them feel even worse because they spend lots of money and not really what they want to do. But that day we felt very different. When we got to know you, I could say again, that was the most fortunate day for us. And we said together, we have to get consultant with Mark. And the day after, what we did, not even a day after, the big draw was in the morning. We put our application in, because again, we had our scores, we had our English ready, English exam and everything ready. As I said, during all of these 8 years, we had our English exam. Like, because we knew this is gonna happen. We never said, when it happens, then we get ready. No, get ready before it happens.
Absolutely.
And what we did, we put our application in again, and we saw all the questions are so clear, and we did answer them very well, but it was not. Because the question express entry application, especially, some of them, they look so simple, but they're very tricky. Some of them are quite tricky. And as I had experience talking to some of my people that I knew that they got rejected for something quite simple and small, that's why I always was so scared too. Especially, it was one of the question about the NOC code of your job. That was, we were quite hesitant, and we were consulting with a few people, and especially also I talked to my HR department, according to what I'm doing, what NOC code you would say it is, but they guided me wrongly. And but that's why we said we have to get consultant with Mark, and we got to book the consultant. And what you did was you gave us a special tools that exactly match your NOC code with the job, the type of the job you're doing exactly. Right. And our job, it was quite helpful. I never did such a thing in the internet or somewhere. We both are quite I would say tech savvy. We go around, we research, we are not people who just trust someone. But after you send us that, I've never seen that anywhere else, and we were both certain that is the one that my NOC code is. And then we got to know that you have special classes for express entry.
Yep.
Just right after that, because we were so certain what you recommend, what you're saying, is exactly what we have to trust. And because we know it comes from the experience, knowledge, not just saying it. And I could
And so
say
you registered for, the express entry step-by-step
exactly,
course in the masterclass.
exactly,
Yep.
exactly. And I could tell the price of this course was like much, and the price it's much low compared to what you get. Every day that we were spending in that class, it was 2 weeks class, and you were as like, it was all our question, all the question and all and that we had were answered very carefully, precisely. And the good thing is because there are a lot of people in that class, and you can get benefit from other people's question, because a lot of those questions doesn't even come to your mind, doesn't like how many things can come to your mind. But when you get advantage of other people's thinking and question, you can, it's very beneficial. And what we really enjoyed was you answer all the question, you never leave any question around. Like any day, I could say we were not like, oh, we didn't answer this, oh, we didn't get answer for this question. No. And every day that was passing in those classes, we were exactly feeling that we get one step closer to our permanent residency. And exactly that was it. A lot of questions we thought we answered them right, but they were wrong. And we didn't know, like we did not know until we were in that class. That's why it worth any pennies we spent. And thank you so much.
Well, and my pleasure. So tell us about the actual filing then. So you had your profile in the pool, you resubmitted it after the big draw, and then you got an ITA. So when did you get your ITA?
I guess it was around four draws after the big
after the big one.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And then your AOR, what was your AOR date?
It was May 1st. Yes, it was May 1st.
Okay. So May 1st, that's when, okay. And then how long did it take to get your approval?
It exactly took us 7 weeks to get the email of the confirmation of the portal. And after that, it took us around another 1.5 months to actually obtain our PR card, physical PR card in mail.
Yep. So, yeah. And even then, that's pretty good because, you know, processing times are over 130 days or more for first PR cards now. And so there's been a lot of changes.
Quite, exactly. And one other thing I want to say, in the same time, we were also eligible for another program that's called TR2PR, if I'm not mistaken. Exactly. Yeah. We were also eligible for that. We applied both application. And as soon when we got we got approved for the express entry application, we got approved. About a week after, we got also an email from the TR2PR that we are working on your application. A week after, they told us, oh, it seems like we got already approved from another. Yeah. So anyway, I would like to say, just be patient. Just be hopeful. It's going to happen. Never lose your passion. Never be impatient. This is simple to say, but if you don't be, you will definitely, you'll get what you want to get.
Awesome. Ali, any last words for the listeners? Any last words of encouragement or inspiration you can give?
Yes, same as Nilu, I want to tell audience that they should be persistent to what they want to get. So they shouldn't lose their faith, their hope. They should, if they want to, for example, obtain their permanent residency in Canada, if they want to, if they like the experience of living here, if they already here, or if they know somebody that lives here and they know how the life in Canada is, and they are abroad, they want to come to Canada and live here. So they should have hope and prepare their documents in advance. Because the window of opportunity is very small sometimes.
You just never know.
Exactly. So they should have everything ready and submit their, prepare their express entry profile ready, everything ready. So if the draw, when the draw comes, they have everything ready
You're
and
ready. Yeah.
Prepare their profile very precisely, because if they have mistakes in their profile, that may cause them issues after the draw. So they should know how to prepare, answer the questions in their profile for express entry, everything precisely before the draw. That's so they should be very hopeful. If they have hope in getting their permanent residency, for sure they will get their permanent residency.
Awesome. Well, you guys are a good example of perseverance and just sticking with it and being prepared for whatever comes and just not losing hope. So congratulations on your receiving permanent residence, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Besides your help, I would say we were not able to get it because, again, the express entries application, as much as it looks so simple, but it's not. I don't want to scare anyone, but I just want to say, when you send your application, you want to send it in to be certain that you're going to get that, because you don't want to get rejection for something very small that you're never gonna forgive yourself. Oh, why I didn't do that. If you can do something before, just do it. I always say to people.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you guys. I really, really appreciate that. And
thank you for having us here.
Yeah, this is absolutely wonderful to have you joining. Thank you so much. I have one comment here from Venetia that we'll pull up, and then I'll go back. And Venetia says she'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I follow your live each week. Me and my family got our PR from CEC, applied for TR to PR and CEC. Sounds familiar, right, you guys? Lots of people are doing that same approach. And many people ask, can I do both? And absolutely you can. And whichever one wins, that's the one you go through. And when you get your PR, I never withdraw or cancel any of them until I actually get one officially approved. So you guys followed a great pattern, and it was a pleasure helping in some small way with your journey. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
I really
everything.
appreciate your assistance and your help throughout our journey.
You bet.
So
you
much.
bet, Ali, Nilu.
Have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay, take care. See you later.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So that was, it was absolutely wonderful to have Ali and Nilu joining today. It was a great, great celebration for them. And I know many of you are in the queue. You're waiting, you're hoping, you're just doing everything that you can to hold on throughout this crazy world that we're in right now. And like I said before, my heart goes out to all of the people whose lives have been put on hold because of the pandemic, because of the processing of applications, and I could never fully appreciate what you guys are going through. I've never had to do it myself, but please know that the work that I do with the Canadian Bar Association, and even personally, even this whole channel, it's designed to try to make things better for people. Sometimes it's advocating to immigration, the department. Sometimes it's advocating to the minister. You know, I inquired with them just recently again with problems with the portal, which many of you are experiencing, right? So, so those things, those are the battles that I fight as a Canadian immigration lawyer. And this channel is all designed to help you guys get your questions answered. Now, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to show you a comment, okay? So we've got a couple super chats that have come in, and I will definitely get to those. But there was a comment made by, and I'm going to, okay, so Amir. So I'll pull this one up. So Amir says, Mark, can you please answer my question for weeks now? You did not answer my question for weeks. I hope you guys can appreciate that, because as the channel grows in popularity, it's physically impossible for me to get through all of the comments. And so they're coming in from YouTube and Facebook at the same time. And so, I do the very, very best I can to answer questions. Amir, if you've posted a comment, I'll try to see if I can find it here, because I definitely don't want people waiting weeks on end to get their questions answered. But understand that I am an immigration lawyer, and the comments and the questions that are posted here are very short. There's very little detail. And so, and that's the way they have to be with the live stream. But if you have an issue that is personal to you, that you don't know where to turn, you don't know how to answer, you don't know which program to go through, you don't know if you're eligible, you've got an issue that you think is a problem but not sure, that's when you book a consultation with our law firm. And it's really easy. There's a link in the description below. And in 25 minutes, we can pretty much resolve all of those major concerns that you have. In many cases, when it's really specific, Amir, without the facts, I can't actually answer a very specific question. It's really legal advice. And so, yes, I charge for that, but the money that you pay for that is money that you can rely on to get the answer that you're looking for. So my apologies if I'm not able to get to everybody's questions. Thanks for your patience. And I hope that you enjoyed that little intro with Ali and Nilu, who spent since 2012 here before they ultimately got their permanent residence. So understand that it's the journey sometimes can be very, very long, but if you stick with it, things have a way of working their way out. All right. Okay. Let's just hit on a couple of super chats and then we will start with, yeah. Okay. I'm going to get down. Okay. I've got a marker here so you guys can start posting your questions now. And then as those questions are getting posted, I'll just go back and I'll just go through the super chats and let's just see here what we got for the first one. And it's always interesting as the one-man show, right? Okay. All right. So we've got this question. It says, I think the question is, do I need to be employed for Parent Super Visa app? If you as a sponsor are sponsoring anyone that is looking to come to Canada on a visitor visa and you are the host, showing that you're employed, showing that you have the financial means to support them is a factor. And in fact, it's probably a small factor in the equation. What's more important is that when your parents are applying for a super visa, that the parents actually have financial wherewithal to travel themselves, to support themselves, that they maintain their ties to their home country. So all of that is really, really critical. And I would say even more important than your position. But if you're saying you're hosting them and you've provided the invitation letter and you're not working, well, probably that's going to be one factor that an officer will look at when they're trying to determine whether or not to grant. Now, the government is supposed to be fairly facilitative with super visas because of the limited numbers of parent and grandparent applications that are actually approved. And so usually the super visas for parents that are retired and that can show they have medical insurance and all those things in place, usually immigration is fairly generous, but not always. Sometimes if they're not satisfied with what's been provided as for evidence and temporary intent, sometimes they do refuse those. And so keep that in mind. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Okay, Ann Schul says, I have work experience of 2 years under NOC code level A as a software engineer, including my full part-time paid job. So I am eligible for any PNP through PNP Apply. Can I get my PR? Okay, so Ann Schul, I will tell you that you need to book a consultation because I'm going to need a whole lot more information and to be able to actually talk with you to sort out what possibilities may exist. So each province is a little bit different. You know, I always ask, are you inside, outside Canada? So there's a whole bunch of things, Anshul, that we would need to do. And simply, all you have to do, and like I said, there is an actual, let's just go back here. I have a link in the description to where you can go, and I'm going to pull it up here. Let's see if I can pull up the actual page, and I'll just show you guys. And let's see, I think I've got a bunch of different screens going on. You guys have seen my immigration news. I've been pushing those out as well, but let's just flip this over here. And okay, there we go. So we'll just move this down so that you guys can see it a little bit better. Okay. And this is, yeah. So all you have to do is just go to our website right here, Holthe Immigration Law, and then just speak to a lawyer right up there. So that's where you go. And you'll also see that when I'm doing this, one of the things that I like to do is just ring the bell, which kind of indicates that then at this stage you are in a situation where you need to book a consult. Okay, so there's a good question, Anshul. Okay, okay, I'm gonna pull this one up just because it was there. So what does this mean? The question is, what does this mean when the email says the attachments are for updates? It says the email says to see the attachment for updates, but there's no attachment in the email. Oh my goodness. I can tell you this is happening all the time. There's tons of problems with the portal. In fact, I just sent an email to the minister's staff just yesterday talking about all of the nightmares that everybody is going through. And they are aware of it. And they are doing their best, at least I hope they are, to deal with that. But sometimes we just have to wait and be patient. And then, the actual attachments come through later. But in these circumstances, there's not much that you can do but monitor your profile. If you want to send a web form, that's also something that I do, even though they don't always respond to those. The reality is a web form protects you by saying, hey, I received this email. There were no attachments. I don't know if I'm supposed to action anything, but I'm letting you know that there was a glitch on your end. And then that protects you in case immigration comes back and says, well, you didn't respond in time. So that's how I deal with that. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Data says, I've completed my bachelor's of technology degree in computer science in July, and I'm working as a software engineer from August to present. Will my work experience get counted for PNP? So understand that the work experience that you are obtaining in Canada and how each province deals with that work experience is really province specific. So some provinces, they specifically want to see that you have, that you've completed education in their province, and then it opens up specific pathways. But to say whether it will work for any province or which province, that's something that I can't answer. And once again, I'll tell you to book a consult so that we can go through everything in detail. All right. Okay. Let's keep zipping down here. I love that. Jennifer's giving me a big thumbs up there. Okay. Let's keep zipping. Okay, Cohil says, hello, Mark. Thanks for being there. After 1 month of waiting, we got our biometric request for CAC. Please suggest what to expect next. Well, biometric is the first thing, right? And I can't tell at this stage. I'm just looking. Okay, you're in Canada. It's entirely possible that if you have everything done properly, that the next indication that you get is your actual approval. So understand that is that could very well be, you could get an email saying to log in, just like Ali and his spouse, to log in and complete your in Canada landing process through the portal. That could be the very next thing that you face. Obviously, as long as your medical and everything else should be in there. And if you didn't, if they submitted it later, based on immigration's requirements, or maybe they even didn't require you to obtain a new medical if you had one recently while you were here. So generally speaking, that biometric, once you've completed that, sometimes there's nothing else other than the next correspondence is something that you receive from them. All right. Okay. Okay. This is another one, Siddharth. I'll pull you up here. He says, I applied for a C12 ICT GSS, Global Skills Strategy, work permit in April 2021. Can you please let me know by when should I expect the final decision? Oh, Siddharth, this depends on country. It depends on a bunch of different factors. And they are supposed to process these quickly. They're supposed to. But right now, immigration is not processing anything in accordance with their previously stated processing standards. So I can't actually tell you. We've been waiting. Some have been pending for a long time. And so Siddharth, that's not something that I can actually tell you. I don't know. We just are monitoring, and as I see things come out from different countries, then I let you guys know. Okay, let's see here. What's next? Sajad says, do I need to upload a copy of a work permit for CEC? And the answer is no, you don't. Okay, but I do upload 2 other documents that are not requested, and that's your IELTS or your CELPIP or your TEF, your French, your language test. And I also upload a copy of the educational credential assessment through WES or iQuest. I upload those in the education information section. Okay, Manpreet, thank you, my friend. Okay, here's a good question. Darshan says, hey, what kind of announcement you expect from the government on the last day of TR to PR on November 5th? I don't think they're going to open it up again, you guys. I don't think so. So I don't anticipate any big announcement at all when the TR to PR pathway comes to an end on November 5th. I'm going to flip back here to my screen and just remind you guys right here, like Ali had indicated they actually went through and they were one of my past students within the course. They didn't retain me as their lawyers to assist them with their application. Instead, they used this, the course and the masterclass that I have, which is launching October the 18th, the next round with the next group of people. And you can access it just by clicking on the link below or going to the Canadian Immigration Institute, and you'll find it there. But this course is the foundation for what helped them to make sure their express entry application was correct. Remember, every evening from the 18th to the 22nd, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, there is a masterclass in addition to all of the video lessons. And so they use that. Those of you who are also, I'll just take a quick little jump back here to my main screen on the website. You'll see here that I also have the TR to PR pathway, and I'm still getting people that are purchasing, going in, accessing the videos, joining the amazing Facebook group that's associated with this program. There is time still, and that one's at 50%. So both of those are available on the Canadian Immigration Institute website, where you can access them and join in. Okay, let's see what's next here. So, yeah, don't expect any big announcements. Okay, this question's from Pargeet. Pargeet says, what can be done if a job letter and pay stubs have different job title, even if the duties written in the job letter match with the job title in the job letter? Okay, this isn't fatal, my friend, but in a letter of explanation, you need to explain why they don't match up. Obviously, if there's a way that you can get your employer to do that, that's going to have even more weight. But ultimately, you need to explain why it is what it is. I have seen people who have had their applications rejected when the job title that was on the pay slips, didn't match up with what was in the letter, but that wasn't the only factor. Okay, there were other questions that an officer had that caused them to doubt whether or not the documentation was accurate or whether it was genuine. And so they weren't my clients, but people who came to me after. But in your situation, Pargeet, a letter of explanation explaining why the duties don't match from you is absolutely helpful and essential as far as I'm concerned at a minimum. And then as well, if you can get something from the employer confirming that because of the way they code things on the pay slips, everybody in this occupation is kind of lumped all together in this title, those types of things are really beneficial. So I recommend that you do that, Pargeet. In the course that I have, which I will talk about repeatedly, because my goodness, you guys, for the price of that course, what you get out of it is the peace of mind knowing that you're not missing anything. And like Ali and his dear spouse said, what you get out of it is all the other questions that people ask in the same way. Everybody is asking questions, and questions that you may never have even thought about. And as I answered them, you're like, oh, wow, that's actually really helpful. I never thought about that. So it starts on Monday. So get over there and subscribe and join us. I can guarantee that it will be worth your time. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we have here. We'll get to a few more questions. So Shaw says, okay, TR to PR pathway. After getting e-COPR and while waiting for the PR card, can someone travel outside of Canada if the person has a valid visitor visa and presently working in Canada with an OPW? No, if basically you can't travel on the force of it. Once you get, okay, let me take a step back. If you receive the electronic COPR and you have actually landed and become a permanent resident, then the other temporary visas and things that you have become invalidated. They don't work for the purposes of traveling. If this is before you complete the landing, yes, you can travel and you can come back on those temporary documents and then complete the landing when you arrive in Canada. But for most e-COPRs, those are an in-Canada landing, so it's just not treated the same as, say, one that's imprinted, like a confirmation of permanent residence that's mailed out to you with the permanent resident visa in your passport. So, but if you have not yet become a permanent resident, you haven't officially completed the landing process, and your status for immigration hasn't changed over to that of a permanent resident, then from a travel legal standpoint, if you do have a visitor visa that's imprinted in your passport, then it is possible for you to travel for immigration purposes. Now, the borders are kind of opening up now, so there are not too many restrictions involved with traveling other than the vaccinations and proof of negative tests and things like that apply. But generally, Shaw, that's how it works. Okay. Okay, here's another good one. Grace is asking a question, that many people have asked before. Should I wait until I have fully completed my year of work experience to apply for CEC, or can I apply to be in the pool before then? I'm thinking 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, I advise my clients not to do that until they're fully eligible. But yes, the system rounds up by month. So the key here is if you do get an ITA before you reach the 1 year, you do not file that EAPR until you've actually reclaimed or accumulated that full 1 year of work. Okay. All right. I'm going to jump down and hit a couple more of the super chats here. So Sidhu, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Let's zip down. I'm trying to find my good friend up here. Let's see at the top who said, I never answer his questions. I'm trying to find your question, my friend. I'm looking for it here to see if you've posted it, but I'm not seeing it. So, hey, there's a lot of questions, I guess is what I'm saying. And if I don't hit every person's question, I'm sorry about that. You can always book a consult. Big shout out to Ralph, who is one of my good friends and past clients. And he's just like a brother to me now. Good to see you. Thanks for connecting in. And Maria, it's good to see you as well. I'm just looking back here to see if I can figure out where the question is from my good buddy here who hasn't had his question answered for 2 weeks. And you can see how hard it is, guys, because then I spend a lot of time searching through all of these questions to try to find the one that relates to, I'll pull up yours there, Karen, while I'm searching. Yes, frustration doesn't compare. I know it's horrible. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Amir. Okay. Amir, I'm going to try to search for you. I'm going to try to search for your question, but right now I'm not finding it. So you need to repost it. Okay. And we've got other past alumni. Nessa, it's so good to see you of the Express Entry course. Good to see you. Okay. Let's jump down here and I'm going to jump to a few more questions, a few more super chats. We've done a good job of getting a real good mix of people that are asking questions today. Okay, let's see here. I'm searching for Amir. I haven't yet found his question. Okay, Sidhu, I'll just jump on yours. He says, how long can a permanent resident stay in his home country? Well, the rule is that you have to maintain at least 2 years in every 5-year period in Canada, 2 years of physical presence. So at the time in which your PR card expires and when you're applying to renew it or even before, they look back 5 years to see if you've been in Canada for 2 years. That's how it works. Okay. Yeah. And Sajad, it's just taking a long time, my friend. Hang in there. Hang in there. Let's see here. I'm looking. Okay, we'll hit Fred here, a little super chat again. He says, I've been uploading my documents and found out that in my previous job, I used a wrong knock code, which is a knock A, and want to change it to the correct one. Will that be okay to do? Okay, so once again, Fred, I'm gonna tell you, my friend, go over here and subscribe right now to the course. And in this course, you will have the ability to get your questions answered. Well, I've got spousals. I've got a bunch of courses here. This one right here, that's in the link below. Go here, click on it. And wow, I can't believe how laggy my screen is today. I must have a bunch of things going on. I'm going to try to shut down a bunch of things. Wow, it is like really laggy. Give me a second here as I try to turn down or turn off a lot of the stuff working in the background. Wow, I don't even know what's causing my lags today, but it sure is. There's no doubt about it. Okay, let's turn that one down. Okay, hopefully that things are not too bad and you guys are hearing me okay. And the content and everything is good. Okay, but yeah, you wanna connect in and join this and be a part of the group. And you will find, Fred, that a lot of the questions that you've asked here and more are going to be answered. Now, the short answer for you is if at the time you're ready to file your EAPR, you realize you chose the wrong knock. Well, the question I have is this your regular knock or is this the knock that you used for the purposes of your primary knock? That's what I'm looking for here. So that's what I'm trying to sort out. Is the knock code just a part of your supporting work history or your primary knock? Now, ultimately, you have to choose the right knock. So if you notice that it's wrong, you have to change it. The section A11.2, and I'm going to show you guys this. Oh, of course, I see what it was now. I know what the lag was. It was, guess what it was, guys? It was Microsoft. I hate Microsoft. Okay, accessing A11.2 right here provides guidance on what happens when you are actually, there's a change in circumstance declared in an EAPR. So go here. I'm going to revert you back to that. And actually, just so that you can see what I'm referring to, all you have to Google is this: express entry, accessing an electronic application, assessing an electronic application on section A11.2. You can Google that, IRCC. And what it says is that any changes you make, Fred, between when you completed your profile and when you filed your EAPR, so any changes between those two, as long as they don't affect your eligibility, so your eligibility for one of the economic programs, and they don't cause your CRS score to drop below the level in which you were given your ITA, then it is possible for an officer to overlook those changes and allow them to take place. So in your situation, you're going to absolutely update it. You're going to document it. You're going to submit an LOE and tell them, yes, I changed it. I realized something was wrong. Now I have the right knock code. In my course, Fred, there is just like, I'm trying to remember who had, who had just, oh boy. Do you know what? I think it was, who was it? It was, sorry. Yeah, no, it was Nilu. That's who it was. It was the clients that I just had. Nilu, who talked about how much she had trouble with their knock code. So that was my guess at the beginning, Ali and Nilu. Nilu had indicated that she used my knock selection tool to help explain to an officer in a table format how the duties matched up with the right knock and why the knock was actually correct. So Fred, that's in the course as well. And I recommend that you access that and join us, and then we can work through all of this. But that's how I do it, Fred. That's how I do it. Okay. And then we have another alumni here, George, who also was a past alumnus of the Canadian Immigration Institute. So he said, Mark, what does it mean when IRCC asks, have you been approved in principle for permanent residence? Is that a thing? I never heard of it before. Is that an old, outdated thing? Okay, so approval in principle is often a part of, it's basically in the context, for example, of a spousal, George, a spousal sponsorship. Approval in principle is where we saw that a ton. Basically, they assess the application and assume, or have made the decision, not assume, they've made the decision that they believe the relationship is genuine. And so it fully exists. It's just that now the approval in principle stage, when it comes to spousals, there was a period in time where they didn't issue the open work permit to spousals until that approval in principle was actually reached. And it really has become muddy, George. You're right. The approval in principle concept has kind of bowed away to immigration being more willing to give work permits up front, which they do now when they've actually, accepted the application and have opened a file. They then, in the context of spousal, started issuing the work permits. And the reason they did that was because it was taking so long for spousal sponsorship processing. So approval in principle does exist in other applications. And then at that stage, it allows the person who's in Canada, often this is the main factor, to then apply for a work permit or a study permit while they're waiting for the background and security stuff to be completed. So that's what it means, George. Okay, let's see here. We've got Eunice. She says completed BA, Business Management and Diploma in Agriculture. Awesome. I'm a farm kid myself with foreign work experience in both areas. Working full-time as a religious education worker in Canada counts as skilled work experience. Well, understand when you're counting anything, whether it's Canadian or foreign work experience, you just have to make sure that you meet the eligibility requirements to have that work permit counted. And it's always listed right here. So let's go with the FSW, okay? And we'll just pull up FSW eligibility. Anytime you want to claim foreign work experience, you just need to hit on these basic requirements. So if you look at skilled work experience and we pull it up, and let's take this and see if we can enlarge it a little bit so it's easier for you guys to see. So when you go down here, the work experience just has to meet these requirements, right? So obviously it has to be skilled. And then it has to be, if you're claiming it for the federal skilled worker, it has to be in the same knock, just for the purposes of the Federal Skilled Worker Program, once you've met the FSW eligibility, then you can include other work experience to meet your CRS maximum work history within the last 10 years. Paid work, and you can say it just can't be an unpaid internship, okay? And then at least 1 year continuous, and then you've got the hours of work, at least 30 hours a week, or the equal amount in part-time over 2 years. And you can see here, the only restrictions are that when you're in Canada and you're trying to claim Canadian work experience, that work experience can't be while you are studying. And so that's really the only issue. Also, sometimes in Canada, an officer will look to see what the requirements are for the job that you're performing. And sometimes I've seen them look at those employment requirements to see if you meet those minimum thresholds. But on the surface, on the face of it, for the Canadian experience class, when you're claiming Canadian work experience, as long as you're not doing it while you're studying, then it's often going to be fine as long as you've completed duties that are substantially the same or match with a substantial number of the main duties listed in the NOC. For foreign work experience, you can study and work at the same time. It doesn't matter. There's no restriction. So that's kind of what I would advise you, Eunice. Okay, Sidhu says, how long can a Canadian PR stay in his home country? Okay, I think we've covered that one, Sidhu. Basically, like I said, 2 and 5 years, 2 years out of 5, immediately preceding the date that you file your PR card extension application. That's what you have to hit. Okay, EC says, given the current processing times, is it advisable to buy a round trip ticket and include on a visitor visa? If so, what is the recommended date of the plane ticket? Thank you. That one is a loaded question, my friend. Obviously, processing times are all over the map, and it's really hard. Whenever I am booking tickets, I always make sure that the ticket can be changed. So I always have a ticket that is that you can without penalty, that you can change the flight, the day, the time. You can modify it, because you're right. Processing times are all over the map. They're really unpredictable. And so the last thing in the world you want to do is to have a plane ticket that you can't change, and then the visa doesn't come through in time. Okay. Okay. Habiba, yes, they are processing visitor visas. The reality is that they are so backlogged that often it will take a long time. One of the things you guys can always go to, at least for a general guideline, I don't trust this stuff completely because, well, there's all these caveats. As you can see right from the beginning, when you go here to check the processing times, due to the impact of COVID, we can't process applications normally or give accurate processing times for most applications. So that's the caveat. So you use this, you take this with a grain of salt. So you go here, if we're looking at visitor visas from overseas, what kind? Visitor visa from outside Canada. Where are you applying from? Let's go to a main source of many people, and we'll say India. Get processing times, and you can see it's an unbelievable amount of time. 190 days to get a visitor visa. And with PR all being backlogged, with visa offices and consulates over in India not being able to operate with full capacity, that's what we're facing. And you can see here, it was last updated yesterday. So that's where I go to get those questions answered. Okay, Habiba? All right. You're welcome, Siddharth. Okay, let's jump down and just hit a couple more super chats. Okay, so Joseph says, hello, my wife wants to give birth in Canada. Well, birth tourism is something that we see a lot of. And it's not something that the border officers really like, because obviously if your child is born in Canada, then that child has a right to Canadian citizenship, subject to some exceptions. But generally speaking, that's the case. And so it's not something that I advise people do, because just because your child has Canadian citizenship doesn't mean it's going to confer any more right for you to become a permanent resident. That's pretty much what I'll say about that. It's not something that I encourage people to do. Okay. Yeah, no updates, ZB, at all about the backlogs. Once again, I have a major day-long series of meetings with IRCC It looks like, excuse me, it looks like they're going to happen on December the 1st. It's clearly something that we're hoping we're going to get more clarification on exactly where they're at with the, with the overseas network and processing. But there's tons of, ambiguity. Like, we just don't know what's happening. They haven't been terribly transparent with us. Okay. I'm going to go to the next. I'll jump here to a couple more, of the super chats. Okay. So Ryan says, is it required to provide salary slips for past work experience when submitting my documents for PR application? Or is it a reference letter and job description good enough? So Ryan, you will see when you get to your EAPR, personalized document checklist, or whether you're going through the TR to PR pathway, I'm assuming that you're probably talking about Express Entry here. It says to provide pay slips if available, which means that there's a little bit of discretion in there. But I can tell you, yes, it is possible to get it approved with just a good solid letter that's easily verifiable of your work experience. An officer can easily go on, find the company, see that you work there, check your LinkedIn page, whatever it may be. And I've seen that succeed with just a letter. So they can't refuse it just because you haven't provided the pay slips. However, do I include them? Every single time I can, because I want to remove that officer's wide discretion, you guys. Let's stretch it out here. There's the discretion. And I want to reduce it down to this. Nothing. And the way you do that is by giving them everything that they could possibly want. And so I will at times, and I teach this in my Express Entry course, which starts on Monday. Subscribe and join me if you're in that queue. And if you subscribe today, you have access to all of the videos right now to start going through them if deadlines are pressing for you. But anyways, Ryan, the reality is I do everything that I can to make it as easy as possible for them to accept the work experience, including providing, if I'm in Canada, notices of assessment, T4s. Sometimes I'll even throw in a record of employment that happens when position ends in Canada, or the equivalent in your country. So I advise my clients to do that. There was a time when I didn't, but Express Entry has become so volatile. The officers, there's a lot of junior officers that are just looking at check boxes and don't have a lot of historical kind of institutional knowledge to be able to read past something that doesn't fit perfect and say, oh yeah, that's good enough. With newer officers, it's a lot more difficult, Okay, let's see. Okay, Manpreet says, would work experience in India partnership firm under NOC 6211 be accepted in cash Express Entry as it's not a company? What documents to work in cash? When you are paid in cash, Manpreet, it becomes difficult. And there is no way of really getting around it. Your obligation is to show that you have been paid. So when people are paid in cash, then the first thing I ask is, do you have a pay slip? Because there's no rule against being paid in cash, but you do have a rule for proving that you've been paid. Some countries, and let's face it, some countries have much higher rates of fraud than others. Countries with high rates of fraud, and India is one of them, then the standard that you have to provide is a lot higher when it comes to proving your work experience because of fake letters, fake pay slips, all those kinds of things. So when you are paid in cash, it becomes more difficult to prove that you've been paid for that work. Now, partnerships, when you're working in a firm that maybe doesn't have a corporate entity, but you're working in Canada, obviously we have partnerships as well, which could be formed of two sole proprietors who are both personally partners in that company. Those types of, if there is no actual records of it, then you have to be real creative, Manpreet. And I can't tell you exactly what the long list is of things that you could include, but did you have a website? Is there any external facing, how did you pay your taxes with that partnership? Are there any other evidences to prove that it existed? Do you have clients that confirm that you provided work for them? And that can document the work. And then when it comes to the compensation, once again, were there pay slips? How did you pay yourself? Do you have an accountant that can provide details of the financial transactions of the company and that how much you were paid? So all of those are possible things that in and of themselves may not be enough, but collectively might be enough to satisfy an officer. And Manpreet, this is one of the issues that people book consultations with me, and all you have to do is slide over here. I'll ring my little bell, and speak to a lawyer. When you click on this, you can come and connect in with myself. I have appointments open. I opened up just recently tomorrow. So if those of you are looking for a consultation, you can get in tomorrow. At least I'm pretty sure you can, because I just opened it up. Because every time I do these live Q&As, then my consults kind of blow up. And I thought, okay, I've got some time. I don't usually have big openings on Thursdays, but I'll just show you how this works. So you click on speak to a lawyer. You go down here and you click on myself here, and then you can look and see what's available. So Thursday, if I click on Thursday, yes, I still have these appointments that I opened up for tomorrow. So there's absolutely availability of time. If people are really urgent and need an answer right now, you can go over there and book a consult, and I can get you in tomorrow, which is not usually the case. Usually I'm about a week and a half out. And I did this because I know how many people book consults after we do the Q&As. Okay. Okay, let's just go down. I'm just going to hit a couple more of the super chats. Gate, thank you. And then I'll answer your question here. Can part-time work experience earned while studying be used for the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program? Remember that the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program is employer-driven. So they're the ones that are driving the ship. People that are not even in Canada sometimes are able to go through that program. So I think what you're asking here, when it comes to the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, is it really comes down to, do you have an employer that is supporting your application? Simple as that. I know that they're trying to open things up a little bit, and every province is different. And I'm going to click on the triangle here. I think Gate, we need to look at that a little bit more in detail to understand exactly what your situation is, whether you have an employer supporting you, whether you're looking at some other alternative, which province you're going to, and we can sort that out. Okay. Shaw, you're very welcome. I do my best, and it takes time to answer, right? It takes time to answer questions clearly. And that's why I'm not able to get to the questions. And my other friend here, Amir, I don't see his question yet. Okay, Sharon, that's great. Then you guys, it doesn't help for you to say that. You need to actually post it. Okay, let's see here. Now I'm going to jump. Okay, Maria, thank you for that. I appreciate that, Maria. Let's see what else. I'm looking here to see if we have any others. I'm going to get caught up with the super chats, and then I'm going to jump back here. Okay. Okay. Gate. Yes. I think we covered that one. So I think I got you already, Gate. Thank you. Let's see here. Okay. Okay. Amir Canson, first one. Amir, I think the problem is that when you post them before I start the live session, and you remember back, I think there were some people who were saying, Akram said that there were lots of dislikes or something before the live session even started. Oh, I love the haters. They really make sure that it's real, that this is authentic, and they confirm. It's like social proofing that this is actually a real live stream where Mark is answering questions. But Amir, you need to repost your question because I don't see it. That's why I do not see the question until after. So this is the first one I see. The first one that shows up is Akram's right here. That's the first one that shows up. So Amir, you've got to repost it, and I will keep looking for your question. So I don't want anyone to feel like I'm just ignoring them. So yes, let's see here. What else we have? Let's see here. Okay, Maria, thank you. I'm just going to try to get caught up with the other super chats. Okay. Yeah. So hopefully Amir, actually, I'm going to go see if Amir's posted it again. He hasn't yet. Infinite. Please don't skip my super chat. I won't skip your super chat if I can find it. Okay. Bharat says, okay, ADR submitted for 5562 under CEC with Outland spouse, September 13th, submitted same day. Which stage it is and how long it will take to PPR in India. Bharat, we know things are moving forward. I had a consult with a client just the other day who got their passport request. Things are moving at a snail's pace. If you're dealing with an ADR, okay, when you've received that request for more information and you're updating the information for a spouse, I tell my clients before the pandemic hit that it would take up to 6 months sometimes to add a spouse after the fact. And so even though you've submitted it September 13th, it could take up to 6 months or even longer to process. It will be a long time. The one difference for you, if this is a situation where you're adding a spouse after, if the spouse has been included in the beginning, like things are they're moving slow, and I don't have an exact timeline for you. I know how much people really want to have that certainty, and that's what I'm working with immigration on, to make sure that that they hear your voice, that I give you a voice, that they understand your frustration. So Maria, this is a question. Please have more Q&A sessions. Once a week is not enough. Maria, I have a full practice. I have a family. I have these lives that I do. I have the courses that I run. And there's only so much that I can do. And that's why I direct people back to book a consultation. So those who are not able to get their questions answered, and we're already out of time today, we're 5 minutes over, that is how I deal with this. So the people that have questions that just can't, Maria, thank you for your positive comments, that are not able to get them answered, the best way is, and the more fulsome answers that relate to your specific situations is actually to book a consultation. Okay, I've got to figure out where Infinite RB's super chat is now. Some of you do the super chat and then you don't post a comment. And then I think, well, maybe they're just giving me a tip for doing the best that I can. Okay, Asmer yelling at me. That's how I assume this is. You have not been answering my question for a month. Okay, so guess how you guarantee your question gets answered, Asmer? You actually send it you book a consultation. Yeah, let me just see here. I'm going to leave Asmer up there because she's yelling at me. Oh my goodness, it is so hard. There's so many people. And I've got Muhammad who's been asking for weeks. You guys, if the question is super important like that, one, if it doesn't relate to a question that's of general benefit to everybody in the group, it's going to get passed over. And if you have a specific question, I encourage you to book the consultation. Okay, I'm trying to find the other super chats to see somehow if I've missed the question that was asked. You guys are really making it challenging for me today. One day I'm going to have someone that's going to actually be able to sit here and scroll through and identify these for me and help me with this, but that's not the case right now. Now I'm just doing the best that I can. Okay, let's see. I'm still scrolling. Let's see. I wonder if I can do this. I have an idea here. Okay, let's see. I think I can. Okay, so we have this, and I can see all the super chats now. I figured out a way to sort them. So here's all the super chats that I've had to this point. So we've got, there's one that appeared in yellow. So we've got Herman there. We've got Anshul. I answered that one. We got Dada. I answered Kanav. I answered Manpreet. Pargeet, I answered that one. Sidhu, I said thank you. Fred, we got Fred's question answered. I answered Eunice's question. Sidhu, Joseph, we answered his. Ryan's, Manpreet's, we got his. Gate, we've got his. Maria, and then Gate as well. Okay, here we go. Okay, haha. There we go. I'm pretty happy with myself now because I was able to find it. Okay. I uploaded NOA for 2020 and 2018 instead of 2020 and 2019, but I uploaded T4 and all work contracts for 2019, 2020. Will it affect my application? Thanks. No. And I'll be honest with you. 2018 is probably just as good because you're showing a larger range of time that you've been working. And so I don't have a problem with that. That's actually really, really good beats, Infinite RB beats. So yeah, I don't have a problem with that. You're just fine. You are just fine. Okay. And I just saw this. Thank you, Nuha, for that big like. All of you, if you like this, actually like these videos and subscribe to them. And what I didn't realize or underappreciated that the live streams where people are liking the content and liking what I'm doing, it actually makes it more visible to other people. So thank you. I appreciate that. And if you can do that, that would be great. as Igor would tell me, he says, tell him to smash the like button. Okay. So smash the like button. Okay. You guys are pushing me here. Let me see. I do have a practice that I am running, and I do have a ton of things going on with the Canadian Bar Association, refugee things and the like, the Afghan situation and responses and preparing for our calls. And so I have to look here and just see if I have what I have coming up here Wednesday. Okay, you guys are in luck. I don't have anything right after. All right, I'm going to devote some time to you guys. You guys have been very, very patient, and so let's see if we can get to a few more questions. Okay, let's see, what else do we have here for the super chats? Okay, so we've got that one, and okay, we've got Marat, and let's see here. Okay, Munther. Okay, so mom is a protected person who applied for PR in February 2018 and received it in May 2020. She included my overseas dad as an accompanying dependent in the PR application, but no update since 2018. That seems like an unbelievable long period of time. And I don't know if Munther, if you used a representative or counsel to help with that application. Hopefully you did, and they should be able to get on it. But this is a situation where that's far too long to be just pending. And excuse me, I want to make sure that they didn't somehow lose it. So I recommend that I'll ring the bell here, that you book a consult. We can take a look at that and see if we can sort it out. Or at the very least, when I get a little bit more information, I can then know who to refer you to for assistance, because that seems like a long period of time that there's been no word on your mother's husband, your dad. Okay. Vala, hello. Okay. And we got that one from Munther. Okay. And lots of people are asking questions about processing and things like that. Biometric instruction letters and medicals passed for Outland candidates. I know lots of people who have got their acknowledgement of receipt and they're just pending. Everything is going slow, no matter what country in, whether it's Emmy or whoever it is. Overseas, the network is going really slow, and that's something hopefully I'll be able to get some more information on as I have my IRCC meetings. I promise you guys that I'll report anything that I hear. And same for the people that are inland FSWs. I know you guys are just stuck, and yeah, it's really tough. Now, remember, if you are an inland applicant, Ravindra, under the federal skilled worker, and you've got your acknowledgement of receipt, your work permit, you can extend it through a bridge. And I'll ring the bell again, Ravindra. If you book a consult, I can show you how to do this. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, FSW draws. I think it's really going to be slow. I don't know if they're going to do another one. You've seen how they've kind of slowed down on the CECs. And if we jump over here, today's Wednesday. Let's flip in here, and we're going to go to the rounds of invitations. Let's just pull it up and let's see what we can find here. So anything as of today, not a thing. September the 29th. So still waiting for that next draw. The last one was the PNP. We are a good 2 weeks later, and maybe there's still time this week for them to do another draw, but right now it's uncertain. Okay. Yes, I scrolled up. All right. Okay, and I got Munther's. Amir, just post your question again. It's not rocket science. Like, just post it. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, I'll give a shout out here to this individual. I received PR and TR to PR International Grad on October the 6th. 6 days later, eCoper, all credits go to your YouTube live sessions. Thank you. And I don't know if you also subscribe to the TR to PR pathway, but I can tell you that many, many, many of those individuals that went through the TR to PR pathway program, the course that I had, all were able to file, the vast majority of them, their application very quickly, correctly, and many, many are landed. And And so it's been an absolute delight to see those people go through. And I think there's probably about 450 or 500 people that are in that private Facebook group that went through and purchased the course and used it to help them. Ralph, thank you, my friend. Thumbs up to you too. That is so kind. So kind. And City, thank you for that. You know, for Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving on Monday, it was wonderful. My mother was able to come over. She actually got COVID. And fortunately for her, she had both shots back in the late spring and back in April. And I'm so grateful because she was able to make it through. And if she didn't have the shots, I don't know if my mother would be here with us today. So I'm very, very grateful. The symptoms and the effect was still pretty severe, but she didn't need to be hospitalized. But she was basically in jail, quarantined by herself for, boy, it was like, I don't know. It was, by the time they got around to it, it seemed like it was almost 2.5 to 3 weeks. It was a long time from the date she took her test. And so she was able to come over on Monday. I in our roaster, we had this big turkey I made and mashed potatoes. And this is what we do: corn and carrots. And I made an apple pie and a cherry pie from scratch with my grandmother's old recipe. And it was wonderful to have the children. I made Rice Krispie squares, if you guys have had those before. And I just felt like cooking a whole bunch of stuff. And my wife helped me with it. But I kind of took the lead. I wanted to see how well I could do it. And it was wonderful. So Thanksgiving was just an amazing, amazing day. Okay, Jat says, why international graduate stream is going faster than essential healthcare? There's way more people involved in it. And I think you guys know that even more than the 40, there was probably about 47,000 plus, because 7,000 people got in just because everybody that clicked at the exact same moment only counted as one application in their ticker. So they also have to make room for those extra 7,000 that they weren't considering or as even being, they hadn't factored it in. But why is it going faster? A lot of those international grads were the first ones to submit, and then it's just first in, first out. So that's how it's worked. So that's probably the case, Jat. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know, Emmy. There's no updates, my friend, as I've answered the question before. It's just that's processing is what it is. And June 25th, understand, is whether it's, I don't know if that is 2020, 2021. I even know some people that are at the end of 2019 that are still stuck, Emmy. Okay. Ravindra, this is where I will ring the bell, my friend. Head on over, book a consultation, and let's explore to see if there's any options. Okay. Halima, your guess is as good as mine right now. There's been no pattern that we can actually follow, because ultimately the processing times, as they've said themselves, even the ones they post, are not entirely accurate. Okay, Maria says, if section 16.2c is hidden in GCMS, almost 30 pages of notes, does it mean that security check has started? That I do not know. And when they start to redact things, sometimes what they're redacting is if you have a spouse and there's information about a spouse that hasn't also provided an authorization to release information in your GCMS notes, sometimes that's blocked off. Sometimes, Maria, sometimes they're, people without knowing or knowing use agents or people that are kind of unscrupulous, and immigration identifies that they're somehow connected with the filing of an application, and then that part is redacted because they're actually now going back to see if there needs to be more formal enforcement action taken against people when they use unauthorized representatives, or there's a pattern of fraud within sometimes we see that. So any information that's not directly related to you, they can redact it. And that's often the case. Now, obviously, Maria, I'm pretty sure that's, there's no danger of using someone who's crooked or unauthorized. It could be that they are going through security, or that the information relates to an accompanying spouse or something like that. Okay. Justin says, would like to know your opinion on doing re-medicals, AOR September 2020, eligibility, criminality, all passed. Yeah. So this is really up to you, because we know that when permanent resident visas are issued, they're often issued, the expiry date is the expiry date on the medical. I've seen a lot of people overseas who are being asked to get new ones. I had a client whose medicals had actually, they just expired days before they received their permanent resident visa, and their passport request. And so we're still waiting to see what's going to happen with it. But there's no harm in going and get it redone. There's no harm in doing it. Whether or not it makes a difference, yeah, that's a different story. But ultimately, there's no harm in getting that done. Okay. Okay, Mark, goodbye, and answer my question next week. Sharon, if you guys post them, I will get to them. Thanks, Ralph. I appreciate you liking it all the time. Okay. Okay. All right, great. There you go, Munther. Did it on my own and submitted it. G number ready. Okay. All right, let's see. I think we're just about ready to wrap this up. I don't know if I have any others. I'll hit a couple more. Okay. But I started working in 2019. I was studying in 2018. It's for my application or TR to PR pathway stream B. Should I send web form? Thank you. This is one absolutely that I recommend you book a consult so that we can sort through it. Understand that when it comes to eligibility, there's a lot of factors that come into play. So you said I started working in 2019. I was studying in 2018. It's for TR to PR pathway. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how to answer the question. I need more facts, essentially that. All right. I think I better wrap it up here, guys. Let's see here. Oh, okay, I'll hit. Adatona says, am I able to travel to my home country, Nigeria, with my student TR visa obtained after study permit was approved in 2018? My study permit expired in 2020. I'm currently working in Canada on a postgrad work permit. Okay, anytime someone is looking to travel, there are always risks associated with it, always. So I never advise anyone to travel if they have a permanent resident application that's nearing completion or nearing approval. It looks like you've got your postgrad. When you have a postgrad that's valid and you have a visa in your passport, if it's required, that is valid as well, and you have a job that you're going to be returning to, and this is purely just a holiday, the Immigration Act and regulations do not prevent you from traveling. When you leave as a temporary resident and seek to come back in, it is always up to the determination of an officer at the border as to whether or not they're going to grant entry. Now, if everything is in order, they have no reason not to grant you entry. But if there's a pandemic spike or the government decides there's this massive fifth wave and they decides to close the borders at Atona, then that's where there's always uncertainty. But a short trip, a holiday, when you have all those things in place, generally you can travel. And I know what your question is. Your question is, if the visa in the passport is a student visa, will that allow you to travel if you're currently holding a postgrad work permit? Well, visas are visas, and an entry visa is an entry visa. And so the ability to travel, as long as that visa is valid, is possible. So you can do it. But ultimately, like I said, when you're coming in, an officer you always subject yourself to an officer who can make whatever determination they want. And lately, based on a lot of the reports from my colleagues, there's been a lot of just wrong decisions made. And I'm not sure why that is, if there's more junior officers at the border or what the issue is, but we've seen a lot of mistakes. Okay. And thank you, City. I really appreciate that. Okay. Let's see here. Amir. Okay. Do I need another police certificate? I am moving to another country and inform IRCC. I am Outland FSW AOR November 2020. There you go, Amir. Thank you. That's a good question. I'm going to end with Amir's question. So how it works, if your current police certificate was issued before you left your country, then when you leave, you will want to go and get a new one after you've left and submit that. I would do it. Technically speaking, IRCC, if you've already submitted your application, it's locked in, And on the surface, you don't need to obtain a new one. But in your case, if you go to a different country, I would get a new one from the country you left after you left. And I would also, after you've been in the current country and still no decision, if that's the case, Amir, then I would get one to the new country that you're in. I would see how long it takes to get that one and upload that as well through the web form. So there you go, Amir. That's how I'd address that. Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's see, we've got Deep here. Maybe, let's see, is there any other? Yeah, okay, so I'll finish off with Deep. So hold off on your questions. We'll wrap this up. This has been a very, very long one. Deep says, for express entry experience within Canada, how many hours per week they count? 30 hours per week. If you have more than 30 hours a week, they're not going to give you extra time or allow you to shorten the 1 year minimum requirement. You have to have worked for 30 hours a week for a full year. And 30 hours is the max that they give hours per week. And you can't work 50 hours or say 60 hours a week and then accumulate the 1 year of work experience in 6 months. It doesn't work that way. And you can flip over to the CEC eligibility on the website, and it will also confirm that information. Okay, guys, I am going to do this right here. And that is the sign off for today. So if you have questions related to, well, are you aware of any new updates or changes, let me know, because I will be doing, let's see if I can even pull it up for you guys. Right here, that's the one I just finished doing. But the immigration news updates are something that I'm doing now, and they are awesome. So I'm able to jump in quick, provide a little update. One thing I will finish off with is we've got good news for those people in Canada, those Canadians. We have heard that in November, the U.S. is going to open up that border so that we can travel down there. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you, everybody. And I appreciate all that you've done to support me in the work that I do and all of your questions and those who've contributed with the super chats and everything else. Thank you. All of that really means a lot to me. Okay, guys, thanks so much and take care. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Or if I happen to jump on again relatively soon. Don't forget that this whole Canadian Immigration Live Q&A is sponsored by the Canadian Immigration Institute. The course right here is starting on Monday. Get in there, click on the link, join me, and get over into the Facebook group, and let's start communicating right now. All right, take care, guys. Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former high school teacher, signing off and saying good luck, wishing you all the best as you navigate this crazy world that we call Canadian immigration. Take care.